Hello everyone, welcome to Wealth Accumulation Channel. Today we are going to talk about the new normal of the Chinese economy and his influence on the people. It is known China's economy has grown rapidly. Shift to medium to high-speed growth. This is an inevitable process. It is also a benign adjustment. But this adjustment, does it really follow the laws of the market and people's needs? I think the answer is no. The new normal for the Chinese economy. In fact, it is a contradictory, unsustainable state of self-deception. Why do you say that? I will analyze from the following aspects. First, the growth mode of China's economy. Still too dependent on investment and exports. However, consumption and innovation have not been effectively stimulated. According to data from the National Bureau of Statistics, China's GDP to grow by 4.5% in the first half of 2023. Among them, the contribution rate of investment to GDP growth is 3.1%. Exports contributed 2.1% to GDP growth. The contribution rate of consumption to GDP growth is only -0.7%. This shows that China's economy is still production-oriented rather than demand-oriented. And this kind of production is mainly low added value and high pollution, energy-intensive manufacturing, rather than high added value service industry and high-tech industry with low pollution and low energy consumption. According to World Bank data, in 2022, China's manufacturing industry will account for 28.7% of GDP. The service industry accounts for 54.9% of GDP. In contrast, US manufacturing accounts for 11.6% of GDP. The service industry accounts for 78.9% of GDP. This shows that China's economy is still dominated by quantity rather than quality. And this amount is mainly realized by input factors, rather than relying on efficiency and innovation to achieve. According to data from the International Monetary Fund, 2022 China National Congress, the growth rate of TFP is 0.8%. The US TFP growth rate was 1.2%. This means China's economy is still dominated by external expansion rather than connotative development. Secondly, the distribution structure of China's economy is seriously unbalanced, widening the gap between the rich and the poor, leading to social injustice. According to data from the National Bureau of Statistics, per capita disposable income of Chinese urban residents in 2022 is 42,659 yuan. The per capita disposable income of rural residents is 16,819 yuan. The income gap between urban and rural areas has reached 2.5 times. And that's not even taking into account a large amount of grey income is hidden in the income of residents. An informal income. According to a report by the National School of Development at Peking University. Report on the income distribution of Chinese residents in 2022. In 2022, the income of Chinese residents. Grey income accounted for 9.3%. Among them, the grey income of urban residents accounted for 12.7%. The proportion of grey income of rural residents is only 3.1%. If grey income is taken into consideration, then the urban-rural income gap will reach 3.1 times. And that's not even taking into account there is greater inequality in household wealth. According to data from the People's Bank of China, total financial assets of Chinese residents in 2022, 240.9 trillion yuan. Among them, deposits accounted for 46.8%. Equities accounted for 9.6%. Funds accounted for 7.4%. Bonds accounted for 1.5%. Insurance accounted for 11.2%, and others accounted for 23.5%. According to a report by the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences. 2022 China Wealth Report. In 2022, the financial assets of Chinese residents. The richest 10% own 86.4% of stocks, 82.8% funds, 77.2% bonds, 67.9% insurance. The poorest 50% own only 1.4% of stocks, 1.7% funds, 2.1% bonds, 4.8% insurance. This shows that China's economy is still dominated by a small number of people, rather than majority. And this minority mainly relies on preferential policies, rent-seeking of monopoly position rights, gain wealth, instead of relying on labor to create market competition, social contribution to gain wealth. The third development model of China's economy, not in line with the principles of sustainable development, leading to the deterioration of resources and environment. The construction of ecological civilization lags behind. According to data from the National Bureau of Statistics, 2022, China's total energy consumption is 4.7 billion tons of standard coal. Among them, coal consumption accounted for 56.8%. Petroleum consumption accounted for 19.7%. Natural gas consumption accounted for 8.4%. Renewable energy consumption accounted for 14.6%. By contrast, the total energy consumption of the United States is 2.2 billion tons of standard coal. Among them, coal consumption accounted for 11.3%. Petroleum consumption accounted for 36.5%. Natural gas consumption accounted for 31.7%. Renewable energy consumption accounted for 20.5%. This means China's economy is still dominated by high-carbon energy, instead of focusing on low-carbon energy. And this high-carbon energy is mostly used for low-efficiency, high-emission and high-polluting industries and activities, rather than for high-efficiency, low-emission and low-pollution industries and activities. According to data from the National Bureau of Statistics, in 2022, China's energy consumption per unit of GDP will be 0.64 tons of standard coal. The carbon dioxide emission per unit of GDP is 1.57 tons. By contrast, the energy consumption per unit of GDP in the United States is 0.15 tons of standard coal. The carbon dioxide emission per unit of GDP is 0.32 tons. This means China's economy is still at the expense of the environment, rather than protecting the environment. From the above we can see that the new normal for the Chinese economy, not really a new normal, but a continuation and exacerbation of an old normal. He did not conform to the laws of the market and the needs of the people. No change in growth pattern and distribution structure. There is no change in the development model and concept. His just maintaining a looks pretty stable on the surface. State of stability and balance. But in fact, many potential risks and problems have accumulated. This state of affairs cannot and should not continue. So what should we do? I think we should start from the following aspects. To change the new normal of China's economy, make it truly a market compliant, and the new normal of people's needs. First, we should adjust the growth mode of China's economy from production orientation to demand orientation, From quantity dominance to quality dominance. From extensional expansion to connotative development. Specifically, we should reduce excessive reliance on investment and exports. Increase effective incentives for consumption and innovation. We should reduce the share of manufacturing in GDP. Improve service industry and high-tech industry in GDP. The specific gravity in. We should increase total factor productivity. Growth rate of TFP. Increase energy consumption per unit of GDP. And carbon dioxide emission efficiency. To achieve these goals, we need a series of reform measures, including a relaxation of restrictions on private investment and foreign investment. Encourage diversity and multi-level, multi-channel investment entities participate in market competition. Promote the optimization and upgrading of industrial structure. Second, expand opening up. Actively participate in international economic cooperation and competition. Promoting trade and investment liberalization and facilitation. Increase international market share and voice. Re-increasing support for educational technology. Fiscal expenditures in areas such as culture and health. Improving human capital quality and innovation ability. Cultivate emerging industries and strategic emerging industries. Fourth, improve the social security system. Expand the coverage and level of social security. Reduce residents' precautionary savings rate. Increase residents' willingness and ability to consume. Fifth, reform of the tax system. Reduce corporate tax burden and personal income tax burden. Raise consumption tax burden and environmental tax burden. Adjust income distribution and resource allocation. Second, we should adjust the distribution structure of the country's economy. From minority dominance to majority dominance. From power rent-seeking to social contribution. Specifically, we should narrow the urban-rural income gap and regional income disparity. Reduce the gap between the rich and the poor and the class gap. We should increase residents' income, share of national income. Increase the proportion of labor remuneration in residents' income. We should disclose openly and transparently sources of resident income and wealth and distribution. Combating grey and informal income. To achieve these goals, we need a series of reform measures, including 1. Establish and improve the minimum wage system, minimum living security system, minimum pension system, and other basic security systems. Guarantee the basic standard of living of the common people. 2. Establish and improve a unified social insurance system for urban and rural areas. Medical insurance system. Social security systems, such as pension insurance system. Guarantee the basic medical care and pension needs of ordinary people. 3. Establish a sound personal income subject to resident personal income tax system and implement a progressive tax rate system. Make it have a stronger regulatory effect. 4. Establish a sound property tax system with real estate tax as the main body. And implement a system of differential tax rates. Make it more inhibitory. 5. Established and sound with state-owned asset management as the main body. State-owned assets supervision system. And implement an open and transparent distribution mechanism. Make it more fair. Third, we should adjust the development model of China's economy. From high-carbon energy to low-carbon energy. From sacrificing the environment to protecting the environment. Specifically, we should reduce coal consumption. Share in energy consumption. Increase consumption of renewable energy. Share in energy consumption. We should reduce energy consumption and carbon dioxide emissions per unit of GDP. Increase unit GDP. Environmental and social benefits. We should establish and improve the institutional system of ecological civilization. Realize the coordination and unification of economic development and ecological protection. To achieve these goals, we need a series of reform measures, including one to accelerate the elimination of backward production capacity and excess production capacity. Close high pollution. Enterprises and projects with high emissions and high energy consumption. Promote industrial transformation and upgrading. 2. Increase the development and utilization of clean energy and new energy. Construction of wind power, hydropower, solar and other renewable energy projects. Increase the proportion of clean energy in the energy structure. 3. Strengthen energy conservation, emission reduction, and low-carbon development. Implement energy conservation and environmental protection standards and technical specifications. Promote energy-saving and environment-friendly products and services. Improve awareness and level of energy conservation and environmental protection. 4. Strengthen ecological protection and restoration. Implement ecological compensation mechanism and ecological punishment mechanism. Promote green development, circular development, low-carbon development. 5. Strengthen the construction and education of ecological civilization. Cultivate concepts and values of ecological civilization. Improve the literacy and level of ecological civilization. Okay, let's talk here for today. If you like my show, please like, share and subscribe. And click the little bell. This is Wealth Accumulation Channel. See you next time.